Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the City of Tyler Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for the 3rd of January 2023. Our first order of business is to call the roll. Sheila?
Yes, sir. Pamela Phoenix.
Present.
Jimmy Reed.
Present.
Beth Whitney.
Here.
Blair Swain.
Present.
John Landis.
Here.
Lloyd Nichols. Commissioner Hudson.
Present. We have a quorum. The Planning and Zoning Commission makes recommendations to the City Council. Any item approved today will be heard by the City Council at its regular meeting on Wednesday, January the 25th, 2023, commencing at 9 a.m. If you received a notice for this meeting, you also have received a notice for the City Council meeting. Subdivision plats are approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission solely unless there's a request for waiver of escrow fees or construction only. The City Council makes financial decisions. If you're here to speak for or against an item, please state your name and address for the record. Comments should be limited to 5 minutes or less, although extensions of time may be granted by the chair upon request. The next, at the conclusion of our normal meeting, we always have a workshop to plan for the next meeting. And the workshop for this month will be held January the 17th at 1:30 p.m. And as all our meetings are open to the public, it will be held in the Tyler Development Center across the street at 423 West Ferguson in the large conference room. Our next order of business is minutes from our last meeting. Have commissioners had an opportunity to review these? And are there any requests for changes, corrections, additions? If not, is there a commissioner who'd like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes from December 6th, 2022.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve those minutes. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Our first item on our agenda is a zoning item that was tabled from our last meeting, Z22-069. That item was tabled, and so to make it available for discussion, we need a motion to bring it off the table. Is there such a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we take Z22-069 off the table.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to make this item available and off the table. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, Caleb, are you going to tell us about this?
I'll try. Good afternoon, commissioners. I'll do my best Tharani impression since she's not here today. So, good morning to you. Good afternoon to you and to everyone in the crowd. This is item Z22-069. It's a multifamily development on 2043 Shiloh Road. The applicant has amended their request from RMF to now be PMF, which is planned multifamily, with a final site plan. And much like last month, it's intended to be a multifamily development. The property to the north is zoned PCD, is developed with commercial uses, planned commercial district. The adjacent properties to the east are zoned R1D, single-family detached and attached residential district, and are undeveloped and developed with single-family housing. The adjacent properties to the west are zoned RMF, multifamily residential district, and are developed with apartments. And then the adjacent properties to the south are zoned PUR and are planned unit residential, and is also developed with single-family. The future land use guide identifies the property as being townhouse/garden apartment, and this request would be consistent with that. This is the aerial map. And here is a site plan. The applicant plans a multifamily development with 223 units at a maximum density of 15.23 dwelling units per acre. As was discussed at the previous meeting, there's a creek running through the middle of the property, so the development would be limited to the northern portion of the property, most likely. And as you can see on the site plan, they're just developing that kind of larger tract, a portion of the tract. On December 6th, so last meeting, the Planning and Zoning Commission held a public meeting and recommended the PMF planned multifamily with this final site plan. The applicant did submit this final site plan to us, but it was submitted right before the holiday break, so staff has not had an adequate amount of time to review the site plan. The applicant is also attempting to discuss their proposal with any concerned neighbors as well. When the request was originally brought up, and still today, opposition stated concerns on drainage, erosion, tree removal, and then having multifamily next to single-family homes. Also, there was a protest from the subdivision to the south requesting a 100-foot green belt along that southern portion, which, as you can see here, is primarily undeveloped, as that's where the creek is running through. Drainage and stormwater issues would be addressed at the engineering phase of development, not necessarily through the site plan. Shiloh Road itself is a minor arterial with multifamily homes and other apartment complexes in this general vicinity, and the proposal would be generally consistent with the overall neighborhood in that area. Of the 36 notices that were sent out, none were returned in favor, and 14 were returned in opposition to the request for a protest calculation of 17.92%. Staff has reviewed the item, or staff would request more time to review the site plan for compliance. The staff would recommend tabling the item for 30 days.
All right, Caleb, thank you very much. Any questions for city staff?
Caleb, there was one of the protests talked specifically about not having access off of Shiloh, but off of Paluxy, which was somewhat confusing to me because, I just need you to confirm that there is no access owned by the applicant to Paluxy. Is that correct? Is it just legal access off of Shiloh?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions for city staff? I don't have any cards on this item, but if there are persons here who came prepared to speak, the staff recommendation is to table for 30 days, but if not, if somebody would like to speak, that opportunity is available. If not, I got a motion? I got a second?
No.
No, we didn't?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we table Z22-069 for 30 days.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to table for 30 days. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item's tabled for 30 days. Persons who are interested in this item should be prepared to look to the future. Next is another tabled item, Z22-071, Lamar LLC. This item was also tabled. We need to put it on the table. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we move Z22-071 off the table.
Second.
Oh, John.
Motion's been made and seconded to remove this item from the table. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Items available for discussion. Again, if there are persons here who came to discuss this item, the staff recommendation is to, we'll hear the staff recommendation, but there will be an opportunity for discussion should that be available. And Z22-071.
Good afternoon, everyone here and commissioners. This is a zone change from R1A Single Family Residential District to R1B Single Family Residential District. It is located at the south of the southwest intersection of Lamar Street and Pacific Avenue. The applicant is requesting the zone change to develop the property with a single family home. To the east, the adjacent properties to the east are zone C1, light commercial, and is the location of a church. To the west and south are zone R1A, single family residential district, and consists of single family homes. To the north is zoned PCD, planned commercial district, and consists of a doctor's office. This request is consistent with the future land use guide, which identifies the property as single family, medium to low density. Lot 10B, which is the southern of the 3 lots, it's currently undeveloped. Under current R1A zoning, the property would not meet minimum lot size requirements. The zone change will allow for a minimum lot size of 6,000 square feet. The applicant is requesting the zone change to adjust the lot lines and develop the property with a single-family home on Lot 10B. The applicant is aware of the need to extend sewer service at their expense to serve Lot 10B. On December 6, 2022, the request was tabled by the Planning and Zoning Commission at the request that the applicant include 2 other lots that will need to be rezoned as well in order to adjust the lot lines fully. As of Friday, December 30th, 2022, of the 15 notices mailed, no notices were returned in favor, and 1 was returned in opposition of the request, with the total protest calculation of 9.42%. The notice that was received basically stated that they prefer the land to the north of them to be undeveloped. Staff has performed technical review of the request and finds that it is generally consistent with the approval criteria, and staff recommends approval of the zone change.
All right, thanks. Any questions for city staff?
So just to confirm, there's not enough land for all 3 lots to be 9,000 square foot. Is that the way that it's currently configured? And so that means that it would, in order for them to get a building permit, the way that it's sitting now, they would have to be approved to get a zone change.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, so it appears that the original lots may have been partitioned in the past. I'm not sure when that happened, but ultimately, to be able to have a platted lot for 10B, that would require additional land or to adjust the lot line. Well, essentially, yeah, if you add all 3 up, there's not enough for
each to
have
9,000.
9,000.
Okay, got it.
All right, any other questions for city staff? If not, I have a card from Mike Mahfouz. Would you like to speak, sir?
For general comment, if anybody has any questions, I'm here.
Or why don't you come to the microphone just to note your presence?
My name's Mike Matthews. I live at 1802 Coral Cove in the White House. I'm here on behalf of the owner of the property, just here to answer any questions if anybody had any questions.
Any questions for this gentleman? Thank you for your time and presence. Any other person who would like to speak on this item? If not, is there a commissioner who'd like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve Z22-071.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Item's approved. That brings us to, S22-019. Caleb?
Me and Matthew are just going to do a little song and dance, getting up every day. This is a request for a special use permit to allow for a 1-chair eyelash studio at 723 Rice Road. The adjacent properties to the northeast and west are all zoned R1A single-family residential district and are developed with single-family homes. And then the adjacent properties to the south are zoned PUR and are also developed with single-family homes. Special use permits are granted for special uses that are not allowed by right in the zoning district as per the Unified Development Code. Special use permits are approved for a specific period of time, typically 1 year, 5 year, and indefinitely, after analyzing the impact of the use in the neighborhood. The R1A zoning district would not allow for a 1-chair salon, but does with a special use permit. The future land use guide identifies the property as single family, medium, low density. Since this request is not amending the zoning of the property, it would not amend the future land use guide. The applicant plans to have a 1-chair eyelash studio in the room on the east side of her house. According to the Unified Development Code, Section 10-360, a minimum of 4 off-street parking spaces must be provided for any non-residential use except that of home occupations. The property has a larger U-shaped driveway with parking spaces on the east side, which can accommodate a minimum of 4 vehicles, which would be required. The property has sole access to Rice Road, which is listed as a minor arterial. It doesn't have access to any of the residential roads there in that neighborhood. There are other properties with similar access that only has Rice Road that is zoned for office. You can see a little to the east there, that light blue color is zoned POD, which is Planned Office District. It's a similar situation to this one where it doesn't have, it only has access off of Rice Road, and it's used for office spaces. That POD was done with a site plan in 2002 for office use. This request would be less intense as the primary use of the property would still remain as single family in addition to the special use. The applicant has informed us that there are no deed restrictions that are placed on the property. In addition, because it's still zoned R1A single family, any other R1A conditions apply, primarily as it relates to signage and things like that. It would still only be allowed to have what's permitted in an R1A zoning district. Staff has performed a technical, of the 20 notices that were sent out, we received 4 in opposition, although I believe we might have received at least one more today at this meeting for a protest calculation of 4.78%. Staff has performed a technical review of the request and finds that it is generally consistent with approval criteria, and staff would recommend approval of the special use permit for a period of 1 year.
Caleb, thank you. Any questions for city staff? If not, I have several cards on this item, and I hope, let me apologize in advance. The last name is D-O-A-N. Yes, ma'am. Would you like to speak? Are you the applicant? No, this lady. Please come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record.
Hi everyone, my name is Digolancy Dawn. I live on Rice Road, and I am here seeking the approval for having one table to do eyelashes at home while I'm watching my 5 children. They are underage of being by themselves, so by staying at home and doing nothing, it doesn't help my husband at all, just one income. So I'm here seeking approval just to do eyelash in one of the vacant area of my house that have different access to, and so it pretty safe to the kid because our kid is staying on the other side with different access, and I have another entrance on another side with the yield entrance to that area. And so I just use that one table, just when customer come in, they lay down, take a nap while I'm doing the eyelashes. So I'm hoping that in the considerations that you would approve my family to have more income to raise our 5 children, and in the hope that I can watch my kids for their safety, while I'm helping my husband to bring little income to help out difficulty of financial struggle with the economy.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions for this lady? If not, thank you for your time and presence here. I have a card from Lauren Glass. If you'd just state your name and address for the record.
My name is Lauren Stuckey Glass, and I live on 609 Shallow Ridge Street, which is the subdivision that the wall faces Rice Road on the south side of Rice Road. It is the subdivision of Katy Drive, Eastgate, Shallow Ridge, and Paloma. So can you see?
Can you just help us see which one is yours, which one of those properties?
I'm trying, if he'll switch back to the map that.
To the opposition.
Also, he's incorrect on the percentages
The
voting
opposition.
against it, because you didn't have the documents to figure that out.
Yes.
Do you see the one that has the corner to the right?
Right.
The far right, there. That's my lot. And the two that face directly to the property that is being considered are now on your desk as opposing, so that you would have to refigure the opposition percentage. And I'll tell you a little bit about me. I worked for Trammell Crow Land Development in Dallas. I worked for Syntex Construction Company for many years, which was a large construction company, residential. I've dealt with planning and zoning committees with both of those companies. I moved back to Tyler. I grew up here. In 1995, I started the Mortgage Lending Division for Southside Bank, and for 28 years, I increased that operation and ran that. So I do have an understanding of complex real estate matters. I'm going to stop there and ask you to please deny this. I can enumerate my reasons, but I don't know that you really want me to speak that long. So if you've got any questions about that, I'd be glad to answer it instead of continue to.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Glass?
Yeah, my question is, what is your?
Yeah, what's your opposition?
Yeah, please.
We don't want you to speak for hours, but we would like to know.
Well, the highest and best use is, of course, residential real estate. It is not a special use property, in my opinion. I've reviewed thousands of appraisals, and it's going to affect the value of our property. And not only that, when you talk about its highest and best use is residential, it is not special use. And there are other things that should be taken into consideration that I don't know that your council can actually apply or think about. But at that point, it's 45 miles an hour on Rice Road. Many times, there is what you all funningly call the chicken lane in the middle. So it's 2 lanes, it's 45 miles an hour, and even school buses go faster than that. Now you'll say, well, that's really for traffic, and that's really for engineering that controls. But that chicken lane causes a serious problem, and people coming out on the access of Rice Road into Rice Road, and there are wrecks, and there are people coming into walls. When you are perpendicular and they're coming in and out, there will be hazards coming in and out of that property, and we are a dead-end subdivision, and we have the choice of going Eastgate or Katy. There is no back entrance to our subdivision, and so this is going to create not only congestion but safety issues. And if they had a median there, it would be far better, but if they would drop the speed limit, it would be far better. If you go a little further down the road, everybody knows that there's problems with Kinsey, and then the attached housing that Mosaic built years ago, it looks like a spotted dog because the corner and all the places where cars are going into those walls is very dangerous. And so that is a huge concern, that my backyard is 10 feet from Rice Road, and anybody coming out perpendicular or anybody backing up going into that property is going to stop and turn, or they're going to be stopping traffic to come out. And it is not going to be safe, and they're going to drive through my wall or anybody else's. It is not going to make things better in our neighborhood.
All right, thank you. Any other questions for this witness? Thank you for your time and presence.
All right.
I also have a card from Patrick Moore. Mr. Moore?
He's one that's there in the corner, and the other lady, Annette, should be included in the percentage voting against it. And I will say one other thing. December 15th to the 26th of December is a hard time to get people to respond. There's no email address to send your vote in on the cover letter. That is also a problem. And so January 3rd, so I'm just saying the time frame, the time of year, it has been a very difficult thing to address this issue.
Thank you for your time and presence and comments. Mr. Moore?
Yes, my name is Patrick Moore, and I live at Lot 1, right there across, so my address is actually 705 Shiloh Ridge Street. And then Lot 2 is right next door to me, and that is Miss Annette Reed, and she has not been present at home since the holidays began. I actually have her letter here, and I pick up her mail for her when she's out of town. I did contact her, and she did reply, I believe last night. I tried to send some stuff in last night as well. Had difficulty sending it through iPhone, so I typed it back up this morning and resubmitted it, which I provided a copy just a little while ago. But I do have some serious concerns in regards to changing this. Number one is, and most importantly, is the traffic. It is difficult enough to get in and out of our neighborhood into Shiloh West. It's not uncommon for motorists not to abide by the laws, and they will pass you in the left turn lane as you turn into the neighborhood in this area. This residence and changing the traffic pattern and putting additional vehicles going into that section would only increase that. As stated previously, we only have 2 entrances and exits to the neighborhood, and this property is directly in front of one of those locations. Speed is also a consideration on Rice Road. A lot of times to have just exited the curves down near Kinsey, people speed up because then you kind of have a straight shot, and that's dangerous when you're trying to turn in. Just within the last 2 months, we've had a drunk driver that hit the curb directly in front of one of these 2 residents that's across the street on our side of the road. They actually pulled into Katy. Of course, the police were there and everything. You can actually still see the motor fluids in Katy across from my driveway. There's been other times where people have hit the curb, driven through my yard across my driveway, which is located on Katy, all in that general area. Thank goodness nobody has actually hit the fence yet, but it's only a matter of time before that will happen. Parking, I see as being a big issue with this. I have witnessed and I have had pictures at one point. I deleted them quite some time ago because I didn't know that I would ever need them. But I have seen the residents BMW X5 park in Shiloh West. They do have this big circle drive, but they were parked in front of a home that was being renovated and or under construction at the time. I did not know that it was their car until, a little while later realizing. There's also been 2 other occasions where there's been a Lexus RX 350 that has parked outside of my driveway, and people have taken luggage from this residence to the car outside of my driveway. So there seems to be a pattern of them using our neighborhood for parking and or whatever at this time. And now we're going to allow 4 additional parking places when they're not even using their own driveway at times. So that's going to be another issue. And they don't pay the HOA fees in Shiloh West. Unless they're visiting a resident, they really have no business parking in our neighborhood. I just think that it's a slippery slope. I can't see that a one eyelash studio is a foreseeable thing and a long-term dream. I think it's going to turn into a nail salon with foot massages, massage chairs, all of this that come into play with these type of businesses. Signage, I don't know how that's going to be perceived or how that will be dealt with. A lot of these places have flashing LED, tacky, for lack of a better word, signage in the windows. And that's just not something that, is needed in that area because it doesn't currently exist in that area. It should stay residential only. And finally, the property values. Most people in Shiloh West, I'm kind of the exception to the rule, are there for their retirements. They worked hard. They want a place where they can come home, relax, have a nice house, have a nice neighborhood where the other homes are well maintained. And it's for these reasons that I would appreciate the consideration to leave this as residential and not allow this eyelash studio.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Any questions for this witness?
I do have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Moore, you stated that the residence comes around and park in front of your driveway. That's on Shallow Ridge Street?
Actually, when they have been parked, it's been on Katy, which is one of the two entrances to the neighborhood.
Okay, so they park and cross the street to go to their residence?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And Caleb, the POD that's further down the street east, does it have signage? Do you know?
I don't think it's developed yet.
That's under construction
Yes.
at this time.
Okay.
And that's a CPA firm.
Okay, but it still falls under residential, so the signage can't be.
No, the POD would be subject to different or larger signage. Typically, it's 32 feet is the maximum square feet or square foot of signage. So,
But there's special use.
but the special use
It's residential.
still, yeah,
Gotcha.
it'd be subject to residential standard, which is a small sign that can be placed in the yard or on the building.
So-
One square foot is
So similar size to a for sale sign? Or a political
probably
sign?
smaller than that.
Smaller than a
Yeah, I
political
think,
sign or a for
so
sale
the
sign?
thing about special uses are typically these, like a barber or a hairstylist. You typically see those in neighborhoods and they might go unnoticed because the impact is so low. And I'm not sure if the applicant can speak to how many clients they plan to have throughout the day or throughout the week. That might be helpful. But like I said, so special use doesn't change the zoning, it doesn't change, those standards. It just allows that, I guess in this case, that live-work situation.
Would
So-
a neon sign be allowed in the premises? No.
So the special use that we're contemplating is just for eyelashes. It has nothing to do with nails or massages or everything that's in a nail shop.
Well, they've indicated that they're seeking the special use specific to an eyelash deal. So kind of the allowance would be, in the code would allow one shared beauty salon or one shared, really it's limited one client at a time. But they've been a little bit more specific on what they're doing, so the approval would be subject or specific to that. So no, I mean that's up to the board or the commission to decide for sure. But it sounds like since we've notified it as just an eyelash studio, that's what it's going to be approved for or considered as. If that's to change, then the applicant would need to come back and amend or renew or amend their their special use to add other services that would be allowed as special uses, which could be some of those other nail things, but still it would be limited to one client at a time, which may or may not be doing multiple things at one time. So, yeah.
I have a question for Commissioner Moore, and then we'll come back to you, Kyle, if possible. Commissioner Moore, the parking in your neighborhood, is that ongoing, or was that for a specified period of time? I remember you saying there was a house that was undergoing renovation.
Right.
And then can you?
It was probably about, I don't remember when they purchased the home, the one that's actually asking for the special permit. But there was a house across the street that was undergoing renovations about the same time, and their car was parked over there. It was for several hours.
Okay.
And then on the other occasions where I've seen luggage being taken back and forth, that was not parked for long periods of time.
Okay.
But my point is that I have concerns that they would just tell people to park across the street in the neighborhood because it's easier to get in and out of.
Okay. So you're not specifying that this is ongoing.
No,
You're
sir.
saying that this was just maybe twice.
I know of at least 3 times.
3 times over a very irregular time
that I'm
period.
aware of.
Okay, thank you. And then I have a question for Kyle. So taking into account these folks are in the protest area, do we know what the effect would be on the protest calculation? I mean, assuming that because we're not updated currently, right?
Yeah, I ran the calculations. So I didn't have Mrs. Reed's letter, so I didn't have that. But I added it, so it's between 10 and 11%. But with Mr. Moore's protest is 8.18. So,
Okay.
but if we have Mrs. Reed submit it, then yeah,
We're making the assumption
I added that. It's just over 10%.
just over 10%.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Mr. Reed. Any other questions? All right, thank you for your time and presence, Mr. Moore. Appreciate you being here. Those are the only cards I have on this item. Are there other persons here who'd like to address this for or against?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to have the applicant come back if we could.
Certainly. Ma'am, would you come back to the microphone, please?
Okay, thanks for coming back and talking with us.
Thank you.
How many clients per day would you plan to have, and then per week, like I specified during the time period?
So in the morning, I work with my husband and at the mall, and then in the afternoon, I pick my kid up around 3:10, and I have 5 kids, so I go from Rice School to Cumberland School on Biloxi. So after picking all my 5 kids, I'm home around 4:30.
Okay.
So at 4:30, stay home and watch my kids, feed them, and basically I have those free times to do clients. So from that to 8 o'clock, I may have like 1 client or 2 clients in the evening.
Okay.
So that would bring me little income to help my husband. Because I work in the morning, but mostly the beauty industry, we don't have clients until after hours, like everybody at work. So I'm missing that hours to be making money, but to stay home and feed my 5 kids, and I have that 3 times to do eyelashes, and hoping to may have like 1 client or 2 clients in the evening times to bring some money. Because in the morning I don't make anything because everybody at work. And so I may have 1 client a day or 2 in the afternoon.
In the evening after 5 p.m.
Yeah.
You might have 1 or 2.
Because
Okay.
yeah, because I work in the morning and I have to go pick my kid up at 3:10.
Right.
And so after picking all 5 of them from different school, I'm home about 4:30. And then I feed my kid for 30 minutes, and then I'll be free from 5 to 8. So I have 3 hours. I may have one client or
How
two
long does it
clients.
take to do one client?
About an hour and 10 minutes.
Hour 10 minutes. What about on the weekends?
On the weekend, so my kids stay home and don't go to school, so I have to watch them because they're minors. And basically, I can't make any money on the weekend, and the weekend is when most people go to do beauties, and I miss all those hours, and so we are struggling with financials.
So you wouldn't have any clients on the weekends? Is that what you're saying?
I'm hoping, yeah, because I watch my kids, so I cannot go to work on the weekend. So I'm hoping that I will have some clients coming on the weekend that I can make money. But I mean, I take
On the
because
weekday?
On the weekend.
eyelash extensions is
Would work on the weekends? Okay.
Eyelash extensions is not popular, so not a lot of people are doing that. It's not like I have 5-10 clients a day. Maybe 1 or 2 clients may come that day, or some day I don't even have any because eyelash is not popular. But I'm seeking to have some money to help my husband and raise my 5 kids. And I promise you, I'm not doing anything else other than just eyelashes because I'm an eyelash stylist. And that type of business is very quiet. I have like a massage table. Client come in from that side of the house, and I have like 5 or 6 spots of parking on that side. But I only have 1 client coming at a time, and they basically go sleep while I'm doing on the table, and it's very quiet. I'll have like some classical music going for them while I'm doing eyelashes, and when they finish, they go. And that speed of that area is 40 mile per hour. And as you can see, my yield, it looks like a horseshoes. It's not even directly from the entrance to the neighborhood of my neighbor. And so it's not going to be affecting their entrance at all, because as you see on the screen, the yield is facing the brick of their houses. So that neighborhood, our neighbor have brick, and our entrance is not directly from it. And so, and in between is have like a big area where people can park and turn in. And so it's like a highway traffic. It's very quiet around.
I'm reluctant to stop, but I think we're hearing a repetitive statement of your situation unless commissioners have more questions.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time and presence. Those are the only cards I have on this item. Are there persons here, other persons who'd like to speak? If not, is there a commissioner who'd like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion we approve item S22-019.
Second.
We're in the middle of the vote. The motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion?
I do have a question. This is a permit for 1 year, correct? And it will come back to planning and zoning next year for review on how this has gone. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's
Sounds
staff
stated.
recommendation.
That's correct.
Correct.
Any other discussion? Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item for 1 year. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
I think that means the vote's 4-2. The item's approved. Thank you all for your...
Who's the second?
Me. Thanks everybody for your time and participation. The next item on our agenda is Z22-073, Russell and Tina Smith. Caleb?
It's me.
Oh, it is Caleb, sit down.
This is a zone change from R1D, Single Family Residential Attached and Detached District, to C1 Light Commercial District. This is property located south of the intersection of Pine Knoll Drive and Shiloh Road. The applicant is requesting the zone change to bring the property into conformance with the UDC as its current use as a daycare facility. The adjacent properties to the north are zone PCD and R1A Single Family Residential District, developed with commercial uses and single family homes respectively. Adjacent properties to the east are zoned Single Family Detached and Attached Residential District and C1 Light Commercial District, and is undeveloped land. The adjacent properties to the south and west are zoned R1D, Single Family Detached and Attached Residential District, and are undeveloped. The future land use guide identifies this property as townhouse garden apartment. This request would amend the future land use guide to neighborhood commercial. The applicant plans to continue using the property as a daycare center, and a daycare facility is not permitted by right within the current R1D zoning. The daycare facility was in operation prior to being annexed by the city of Tyler. To the best of our knowledge, the facility has never been closed for a period longer than 6 months. Which makes the daycare a legal non-conforming use. By changing the zoning to C1 Light Commercial District, it will allow the use of a daycare facility to be permitted by right. This zone change will be consistent with the rest of the commercial zoning along Shiloh Road. As of Friday, December 30th, 2022, of the 10 notices mailed, no notices were received in favor or in opposition to the request. Staff has performed a technical review and finds it is generally consistent with the approval criteria, and staff recommends approval.
All right, thank you. Any questions for city staff?
So Matthew, they're just trying to become compliant?
What was that?
They're just trying to become compliant, conformed?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Yeah, so it's been in operation as a daycare, and it's been zoned residential, and it's just been in use since it was an annex. So.
Gotcha.
Or any other questions for city staff? I don't have any cards on this item. Are the persons here who would like to speak on this item for or against? All right, if not, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve Z22-073.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Item's approved. Next is Z22-074, David Lake.
This is a zone change request from R1A, Single Family Residential, to PCD, Planned Commercial District. Here, just directly kind of catty corner from the university. The applicant is requesting a zone change to PCD with a final site plan in order to develop the property with a self-storage facility. The property is currently zoned R1A, and then you can see the property right there to the west is also C1. This portion is just R1. The adjacent property to the north is zoned PMXD1, planned mixed-use district, and is undeveloped. The adjacent property to the east, which is a larger remainder of this tract, is zoned R1A, single-family residential. To the south is RMF, multifamily residential, that's developed with the UT Tyler Activity Center. To the west, right there on the corner, is a gas station, zone C1, and then across the street is a hospice care facility, also zone C1. The future land use guide identifies the property as being institutional. This request would amend the future land use guide to be general commercial. I spoke with the applicant just before the holiday break. In that conversation, the site plan they had originally submitted to us was just including this portion. They've since come back and are actually including that square lot on the corner that includes the gas station. And they're going to be redeveloping the gas station along with the self-storage facility. So they're requesting that the request be tabled for 30 days in order to give us more time to review the new application, as well as renotice to the neighbors that would be affected by that. In general, the area is part of the UT Tyler Area Development Plan. One initial point that we had made when speaking with them was that since it falls under this area development plan, that property is listed as being for potential UT Tyler expansion. So any real expansion into that or development in that area would need to be generally consistent with that overall plan, whether it's not the direct expansion of UT Tyler, but uses that are consistent with the university in that area as a whole. So the applicant is requesting more time to additionally talk with the university and see if what they're intending to do is compliant with what they're intending to do in that area as well.
Is 30 days enough for them to?
We do have a new site plan submitted with showing the gas station, and that included. 30 days should be enough for staff to review that and get all that information taken care of.
Okay.
I do have a question about that. Who with the university gives it the thumbs up or the thumbs down? And is that communicated to you or y'all as the city, or how does that work?
In terms of like who specifically would do it, I wouldn't know who would be the one that could make a decision like that. As part of the area development plan, we don't need explicit university approval or denial of what's going on. We've just kind of requested that a representative of the university, if able to, if they were in favor of it, and said that they would be, generally in favor of what's going on, that would prove that it's maybe more in line with the development plan.
So I think it's important for this process to understand perhaps the university's future plans, because with when the area development plan was developed, it was identified that the university is kind of is enclosed there, and so there are few opportunities for growth in that area, and so that's why this area was kind of identified as a potential expansion for the university. Now, whether they have plans to do that or not, but in terms of how we hear back, I think it's just part of the normal process on, if there's any feedback on that proposed activity in that area, and whether the university is in favor or opposed, or it has no opinion on that.
Mr. Lake does on this property.
Yes.
Has the city staff, what do they think about this use? Just in general, as far as in light of the university issue? Have y'all made a comment about that?
Generally, when we look, this kind of goes into just it being a planned district, first of all. Generally, for something like this, we require initial conformance with the code, but generally, if they're going to be doing something that we think might be contrary or more of an impact than was originally intended, we require over compliance with the code, particularly in some aspects, landscaping, additional landscaping, different means of access, and things like that would generally improve the area. I think general staff recommendation would be that if they're able to kind of over comply with what's required, if they meet the general, if they're able to kind of over comply, and if they generally have university approval or.
Yeah, so I'll add to that. I'll try and simplify that a little bit, but what staff would be looking for is to make sure that the what the applicant's proposing is not contrary to the area development plan, or if it is, which in this case it is, because this is identified as a future institutional use, that the burden of proof or persuasion is on them to demonstrate that it's better than the plan. As it stands right now, they have not done that. And so until they do that, staff wouldn't recommend approval.
So what you're saying is it's in conflict with the university development plan?
It is.
Yes, okay.
Well,
All right.
what-
That's where I wanted to get.
I want to make sure it's not in conflict with the university's
No.
development plan.
University Woods.
University
Area
Woods
Plan.
development plan, the City of Tyler University Woods development plan.
I do have a card from Jonathan Lake, Mr. Lake. Maybe you can share some light for us.
Good afternoon, Jonathan Lake, and I'm representative for David Lake. We approached the university, gave them the opportunity to purchase the property, which they chose not to. So I guess our concern would be, so they dictate what happens to the property now? So,
I think that's my question as well.
yeah. But I'm here to show our support for for this rezoning, so.
And the staff recommendation is table for 30 days. Do you have a real opposition to that?
I wasn't aware of that suggestion for it being tabled for 30 days.
Because of when I last spoken with them, their decision to include the gas station as well.
Oh, okay.
We would have to re-notify, and that would require another 30 days.
Okay, even though it's a separate property.
If it's being included with this, it would have to be.
I got you.
Is that, including that gas station, part of your development plan, Mr. Lake?
No, we own the property further, with my father, David Lake, further back to the right of this tract right here. And that's an easement that goes through this right here. Pipeline easement.
Mr. Lake,
So-
are you acquiring the property? Are you acquiring the corner, the hard corner?
Oh, no, to answer your question, no. No, we don't own that property.
So the owner of that property is joining you in the zone change request. Is that correct?
I believe this property is being purchased from. Is that correct? That they're doing the self-storage facility.
Yes.
Okay, so you're selling the acreage, the vacant acreage, and the buyer that's buying yours is also, I guess, buying the corner, the service
Gas
station as
station.
well.
They
Yeah.
currently own the corner.
They own the corner as well. Okay.
Yeah.
So the gas
But they-
station is buying the vacant property.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
But we're pulling it up here, their proposed site plan includes the entire.
Yes, I saw that in our notes
so,
too.
Okay, yeah.
Can I ask a question? Y'all just differentiated between the plan development, not the university making the decision, but the university development plan. What's the difference between the university making a decision and the university development plan?
Well, the University of Woods area development plan is the city's plan for that area, future land uses.
Okay.
As that area develops or an expansion of institutional uses. That's the city's plan.
So it's the
That was
city's
approved
plan.
in 2010.
Okay.
The university's plan, that doesn't have any,
But you all said you
we're not
need
deciding
to,
that yet.
but you need to check with the university.
Not necessarily.
If I drew a parallel, it would be the same as the future land use guide. So this would either be cohesive with the future land use guide, or this would have to amend the future land use guide. Is that
Yeah.
a decent parallel?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I got it.
yeah.
I think
When we do
that's
Yeah.
basically what's been.
Okay. And the tabling, you all will make the determination whether or not it complies with the University Woods Planning Development
Well,
or?
the applicant, yeah, demonstrates that it does.
Gotcha.
We'll make a recommendation.
Gotcha.
So, Mr. Lake, is there a coordination between you or your property and this corner that's trying to acquire it? It doesn't seem like there's been a lot of coordination related to a presentation for the entire tract, but I'm just kind of trying to get a handle on what's going to happen in the next 30 days.
I don't know.
It seems like the reason why we're tabling it is to have a coordinated effort to repackage it, but have we been has the gas station, is this corner lot, have they talked to y'all or?
Yes.
And said, hey, we've got something coming here and we're going to coordinate with Mr. Lake?
So, as I mentioned, Mr. Lake is selling this portion of the property initially when the request came in. The request was to just develop the self-storage facility on that portion. When I met with the developers, the people purchasing the property, they were the ones that mentioned that they are also working with the gas station on the corner in order to develop both of them at the same time. I believe they've done similar projects in other cities where they do the gas station and self-storage simultaneously. And so, and with this property, that's what they came back and said, when they originally approached us, they didn't have that gas station in mind. But then since originally speaking with us and submitting the request, they got with the gas station and wanted to combine those two together. So when we had spoken, as I mentioned before the break, that was when they had submitted this site plan to us, and I informed them that it would need to be re-notified and all that. So the gas station and the people developing the self-storage facility are in collaboration with each other. I'm not as familiar with it seems like they're not in collaboration with the Lakes.
And so for us to take action, it makes sense to act on behalf of both of these properties at one time, if that is the way the developments can go. Kyle?
To act on this site plan that we have before us, it includes property that has not been notified to change. So that whatever's shown in that area cannot be.
It's more of a
changed.
It's more of a notification issue.
It is. Yeah. If this is the plan for that area, for these two properties, then we need to re-notify to that change. Yeah.
Mr. Lake, thank you for your time and presence here.
Thank you.
Any other questions from Mr. Lake? Are other persons here who'd like to comment on this application? If not, the staff recommendation is to table for 30 days. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we table Z22-074 for 30 days.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to table this item for 30 days. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That brings us to consent plats Group A. Kyle, Caleb?
Yeah, so the two plats on the consent group A agenda are eligible for approval, and staff recommends approval.
All right, thank you. Are there persons here who'd like to speak on P22-035 or F22-032, those two plats? If not, the staff recommendation is to approve those plats. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve consent plats Group A.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve consent plats Group A. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Next is consent plats Group B. The staff recommendations, are these all do not comply?
That's correct. The plats on consent plats Group B, which are F22-158, F22-157, F22-160, F22-152, P22-038, and F22-143 do not meet technical approval criteria, and therefore staff recommends denial.
I think are the persons here who would like to speak on any one of those plats. All right, if not, the staff recommendation is to deny consent plats,
B.
Group B.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we deny consent plats Group B.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded to deny consent plats Group B. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Plats are denied. And we're adjourned.